The Nigerian Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services Southwest Zone organized a policy discourse on the state of climate-smart agriculture, CSA technologies, innovations, and management practices, TIMPs. Ogun State edition was held inside the Postgraduate School Auditorium of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta FUNAB, on Thursday, 11th of February, 2021.
If NIFAS and AFAS are only operating in Nigeria and Africa, it then means that Nigerians are really very smart people that can touch the entire world, which means that we can even have a world body of agricultural advisory services that will help farmers throughout the world.
We are here to know the state of the climate-smart agriculture technologies, innovations, and management practices. It's a great day for NIFAS, and this is happening in the 6 geopolitical zones, almost simultaneously.
At the end of today, we will be able to come together and put together a comprehensive communique of document that can enhance the formation of policies that will adequately address climate-smart agriculture in our country.
NIFAS is not only meant for those of us in agricultural extension, but other professionals that could learn and then that could contribute to the issue of food security in Nigeria, so that we will make impact at the national level, link up with the global level or the global organization for us to be able to ensure food security in our nation and at the global level.
The panel discussion, moderated by Professor Kola Adebayo, the Chief Executive Officer of Sustainable Livelihoods and Development, Sloden, Africa, and Mr. Godwin Atia from the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, Ibadan.
While the population is increasing, another dimension is that for the agricultural sector, it is becoming increasingly difficult for farmers to actually predict when to plant, for instance, their crops.
Dr. John Oyedepo of FUNAB's Institute of Food Security, Environmental Resources and Agricultural Research, ISRA.
The first thing I want to recommend is that there should be a Greek agricultural census.
And Dr. Akim Makinde of the Agro-Meteorology and Water Resources Management, FUNAB.
Any technology that will make us enjoy or possibly gain from this climate change is climate smart.
As well as Dr. Yemisi Adebisi Adelani of the Nigerian Institute of Horticultural Research and Training, Ibadan.
Even weather information, how do they get it? It is very difficult for farmers to have access to that.
And Dr. Kendi Thomas from the Agricultural Extension Department, University of Ibadan, Nigeria.
To ensure proper uptake, it is required that we have what we call good and deliberate stakeholders engagement mapping.
The resource person, Mr. James Oyeshola, National President of the United Nations Environment Ecosystem-Based Adaptation for Food Security Assembly in Nigeria, discussed the state of CSA TIMP's knowledge and uptake challenges and prospects with practical examples.
One of the major areas is, apart from the mitigative aspect, we must also think of the socio-economic aspect and making sure we also have a kind of having our quota to national determined contributions in terms of the Paris Agreement to make sure that we bring down the carbon footprint that is causing the effects of climate change.
The first port of call by the panelists was an explanation of the concept of climate-smart agriculture.
We see that the concept of climate-smart agriculture can simply be put as a concept that aims to respond to the changes in the climate. There are 3 pillars
when we come to talk about climate smart agriculture, anything that will help us increase productivity and increase income. Why we are doing that? To reduce carbon emission.
The 2021 SRP, this is to serve as a guide for stakeholders that there have been a lot of changes that have taken place, and we need to align ourselves with this information before we invest, because it's number one factor that determines or shows to us from the onset what you're about to go into.
Uptake dimension of technology generated is quite very low. We don't take cognizance of. Number one, to ensure proper uptake, it is required that we have what we call good and deliberate stakeholders engagement mapping. Most people jump to the end users alone. So it starts from those who design policy, the government, to the point where we get to scholars, agri-extension practitioners, before we get to farmers. So the weak link that we have in all this is quite responsible for poor uptake as we find them.
Is for us to see how we increase our investment in research and development. On the development side, which is in most cases downplayed, but also very important, is the issue of extension systems and capacity building. This is where both the Ministry of Agriculture and Education have a big role to play in building the capacity, but also in funding the extension system that we have currently. And they must also work with Ministry of Water Resources. We need to put synergies together. We need to also invest in irrigation. Irrigation shouldn't be seen as something in the north alone.
So, the first thing I want to recommend is that there should be agricultural census. We should establish more climate information service platform, like early warning system. Organize those group of farmers into groups where they can receive information and then they can be trained. The shortage of extension personnel can be bridged with technology. There are a number of applications that we have now. The AgriCloud, we have it in JAWS, is a technology that makes farmers to get information directly from their phone.
We talk of horticultural waste, try to mop up waste from horticulture. To be able to get some of these climate smart practices. Like from there we get a biochar, get a biogas, get a compost, and even we produce our mushrooms from horticultural waste.
All those suggestions, I would say that we should make them available, especially those that are technology driven, in local dialects, such that the major stakeholders, who are our grandfather, our farmers, and other category of individuals on the field. So I would advise that local languages should be implemented in all these policy positions.
The moderator took a step further to summarize the issues raised at the panel in Yoruba.
Nínú ọ̀rọ̀ táwa ń sọ ni pé báwo ló ṣe máa dọ́dọ̀ àwọn tó máa lò wọ́n fún wa ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìmọ̀ràn lórí ọ̀nà tí àwọn iṣẹ́ ṣe ìgbàlódé tó bá ojú ọjọ́ mu yìí tí ó ṣe máa dé ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn tó máa lò. Alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ń bẹ̀ tí mo kọ sílẹ̀ bí ni pé àwọn ọmọ iléèwé wa wọ́n wúlò gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tí ó yẹ kó ní ìmọ̀ nípa bí ìta ṣe rí àti bí a ṣe lè ṣe iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ní ọ̀nà tó máa bá òde mu. Wọ́n ní tá bá fún àwọn ọmọléèwé tá a ṣe wọ́n lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́ tí à ń pè ní bíi climate vanguard tó jẹ́ pé lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́ yìí wọ́n lè máa dára wọn nímọ̀ràn nípa gbogbo tó ń lọ ní ìdàgbàsókè nípa nǹkan ọ̀gbìn tó jẹ́ pé kò ní jẹ́ kí ìta máa gbóná sí bó ṣe ń gbóná yìí tó jẹ́ pé ó máa jẹ́ kí ire oko wá tóbi sí láì ní jẹ́ pé iye omi tá a máa lò ó máa pọ̀ tó iye tá a ti ń lò tẹ́lẹ̀ pé àwọn ọmọléèwé wọ́n á wúlò fún wa nínú ìlú.
While the floor was open for the participants to make useful contributions and ask
Most
questions.
of us have not heard this thing on radio, on TV before. We are here today hearing it for the very first time. I want the NIFAS to please give this thing a good publicity.
The area of land occupied by Nigeria is not increasing. The demand for food products is increasing. Don't you think it's high time Nigeria formulate a policy on population control?
Let all our secondary schools in this state have at least a plot of land for agriculture.
When we talk about climate smart agriculture, we have an avalanche of technologies in this country that has not been uptaken. And the very reason why they have not been uptaken is because we are moving far away from development.
Irrigation and greenhouse technology. What is the government doing to take it to the grassroots farmers?
Now, farmers are adopting all these smart, climate smart technologies that we all know are somewhat capital intensive. And at the face of what is happening today with herders, when such farmers take this and nothing is being done, to save them from the problems of herders who enter there to spoil all this, how would they be encouraged?
We have been talking about production. This extreme hotness and coldness did not affect post-harvest handling of farm produce.
Some farmers will tell you that because of markets, all these things we have been talking about is about productivity, the produce from the farm. But what about the market? They will tell you, if I adopt it, do I know how much I'm selling at the market, especially when the supply is high, automatically the price will fall.
We that we are discussing there cannot take it to the ground. Those people are we going to use? They are the extension workers. These extension workers are not well treated, not well motivated.
Both states are thinking towards the line of agribusiness. And we have told them without extension, agribusiness will fail.
Meanwhile, the participants expressed hope that with adequate research and implementation of the issues discussed, including greenhouse technology, there would be food security in the country.
I'm sure that all of us have been thoroughly educated. As a government, whatever comes to us in form of recommendation from this forum, we definitely want to see how we implement it. The aspect that has to do with the curriculum, as the Education Commissioner, and then don't forget that my ministry is also in charge of science and technology. So we definitely look at how we can implement some of these policy recommendations.
We must begin to educate our children about climate change and the way out of it.
We are being taught how to adapt with the new system of the climate. But I implore the federal government that they should please move along with every suggestion or resolution that is being made here today.
It has been a unique opportunity to learn more about the smart agric way. What I'm taking home are things that have to do with communication.
We have also been able to harness the contributions of people from research institutes. We have had meaningful contributions.
Having a climate smart agriculture is the next thing that needs to be talked about in the country if you want to continue to have food security.
It is hoped that there will be quick implementation on the actionable policy recommendations made at the Discourse organized by the Southwest Zone of the Nigerian Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services, NIFAS, as Nigeria looks up to increase in agricultural productivity.